In other news, the United States, through the USAID and U.S. Department of State, has announced an additional $230 million in urgent humanitarian assistance for the people of Sudan. The funding includes nearly $25 million from USAID and more than $178 million from the U.S. Department of State to support food, protection, health, nutrition, shelter, cash, and agricultural assistance. The funding will also help provide training and other support to small business owners and market-based assistance for vulnerable people, including refugees and internally displaced persons. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, announced the funding following a meeting on Sudan at the U.S. mission to the UN in New York.
We know that need is outpacing funds. Everyone has the responsibility to do more, to give more, if we want to prevent the spread of food insecurity. And so today, I'm proud to announce that the United States Agency for International Development will provide an additional $203 million in funding to the people of Sudan.
For more on this, Global Affairs Analyst Judy Ojo joins me live via Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ojo. $203 million is what the U.S. is pledging for emergency, urgent humanitarian assistance. How much impact do you see that make in the lingering war in Sudan?
Thank you, Ambassador. Definitely it's going to impact positively if the fund is well utilized, provided there is proper oversight and accountability and transparency framework in place to ensure that the beneficiaries are the ones that get it and that the fund is not diverted. I've worked for U.S. government on elections in Nigeria, and I know that they do not take for granted accountability and transparency in the disbursement and utilization of their funds. And I believe similar thing will go for Sudan. But the question, Ambassador, is, will this stop the lingering and protracted conflict in Sudan, which has been on for decades and which has worsened since the last 1 year, 3 months, since April last year, when we had the Sudan Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, being at loggerheads, which has claimed over how many thousands of lives? Some put it as much as 150,000 lives having been lost. We've had over 10 million, conservatively, million displaced internally, and over 1 million people have fled to other countries, particularly Chad, from Sudan. So will this aid, with this humanitarian assistance, will it go far? The answer is no. This is just tokenism. According to United Nations, they have actually estimated the financial need for humanitarian assistance to be around $2.7 billion.
Yes.
And they have only received $155 million out of this sum, which is just paltry 6% of what is needed. So it is heartwarming news that U.S. is coming to the table with $203 million US. But I wish and I hope that United States will also pressure its allies in the West, Europe and UK and other allies to also follow suit.
That's big, and
there is substantial.
Yeah, Mr. Ojo, because that actually, takes me to my next question. I wanted to ask you if you're of the opinion that world leaders are actually doing enough in containing the war. And this time, let's even look within the African continent, which has borders with Sudan.
Unfortunately, the world is not doing enough, particularly the Western world. You would think that the conflict in Gaza predates even the one in Sudan. I think it's only Ukrainian crisis that have predated Sudan current crisis. Ukraine-Russian conflict has lasted over 2 years. But this Sudanese problem has been on since April 2023. And you would think that the rest of the world has not seen Sudanese crisis as being of significance to resolve. Because all this humanitarian assistance, how much of humanitarian assistance can you give when the crisis is not yet over? You cannot even start rebuilding, you cannot start reconciliation, because every day people still get murdered. There are people who are suffering from starvation, from famine. There are millions of students who have been out of school because of the crisis. There are nutritional deficiencies.
It's massive.
Life has become so cheap, horrible for the Sudanese. And it's like, who did they offend? That from inception in the 60s, Sudan has never known any lasting peace.
All right,
Even
Mr.
before the breakaway of South Sudan in 2011, it has always been for 30 years that strongman, the one that was ousted,
yes.
when he was Omar al-Bashir, when he was at the helm of affairs, Sudan never knew any lasting
peace.
So
peace is crucial. Yes, Mr. So peace is crucial at this time, and no amount of tokenism, would actually suffice for peace. So it's important for all concerned to look for a way to come to the table and agree on a way forward for peace to return to the troubled Sudan. I must sincerely appreciate you for talking to us. Global Affairs Analyst Jide Ojo, thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure.